Bosman. Welcome to Leading in the Dark. Nice to meet you.
Pleasure is mine. Thank you so much for having me here today.
So, you are the president and CEO of the Haven of Grace. Tell me about the Haven of Grace.
Oh my goodness. Thank you for asking about the Haven of Grace. The Haven of Grace is a shelter for unhoused pregnant women and their children. The Haven of Grace has been around St. Louis for more than 37 years, and we serve families from all across the state of Missouri and the Metro East. We also have transitional housing, so we are a full program. We have transitional housing here on our campus. We're located in Old North St. Louis. And then we have a 10-year aftercare program called Project Inspire, where we carry forth the second phase of our mission, and that is to help families move towards generational health, generational wealth away from systems that were never designed to serve them. And so we are helping the citizens of St. Louis with some generational change here at the Haven of Grace. Our core mission, of course, is to ensure that those unhoused pregnant moms deliver healthy babies and to do our part to reduce the maternal mortality rate as well as the infant mortality rate, which impacts Black women and Black children by 50% more than women of other ethnicities.
What an amazing mission. How did you get involved with the Haven of Grace?
It's a very interesting story. I have a corporate background and had spent all of my working life working for a Fortune 50 corporation. Got a phone call from a very dear friend who said, Patricia, I've got a deal for you. I think that I found your dream job. Well, why do you think that? I said. And she said, because I know your story and I know your mission. I know your heart and you're going to love this. And so I went to an interview, and 8 interviews later, I had fallen in love with the Haven of Grace, and the board of directors had decided that I was the person to lead this wonderful organization.
Isn't it funny sometimes how we fall into exactly where we should be in life?
Absolutely. This, for me, is a calling. It is a passion. I've often heard people talk about do the job that you love and do a job that you would do for free. And indeed, I have found that space, that place, that calling, the mission of my heart. I come from a family of servants, and so this is something that just speaks to me.
And you've been there for about 4 years. Is that right?
Actually, 3.5, so coming up on 4 very quickly.
So, take me through the life of president and CEO of a nonprofit. What are the things that you spend a lot of your time on?
I spend a lot of my time trying to ensure that the agency stays afloat, trying to make sure that we are being if cost efficient in everything that we do, making sure that we are actually meeting the needs of the community as a non-for-profit is actually owned by the community and is there to support the community. And I spend a lot of time knocking on doors, telling our story, and asking people to support us financially, talking to people about being philanthropists and what that really means and why it's important to give back. So my days are full with leading the mission. We're small, so I am really engaged in the day-to-day operations, but also out there knocking on doors, talking to people, just making sure that people know that we're here and that they know the value that we are bringing to the community today, but more importantly, so that they understand what we're doing, what we're planning for tomorrow.
On the fundraising side, do you get your support more from individuals or corporations? Just curious.
Corporations are probably responsible for about 10% of all philanthropic giving. So most of our support is indeed from individuals,
That's really interesting.
foundations, and individuals.
I would have, being naive and on the other side, I would have assumed just the opposite.
No, I think that at some point in history that may have been the case, but we all know that as tax laws change, businesses are in business to make money for their stockholders. And so they make business decisions about where to put their money. They have the foundations and they spread it as far as they can. But we really depend on the good hearts of the people within those corporations to give. Many of them have matching dollars, and so for those corporations who have matching dollars, we see some additional funds from that. But it is your neighbor next door that writes a check for $25 or sends a notice to their bank to send $25 every pay period. It is a family who has a windfall who has decided that they need to gift some of that money back to the community. So we really depend heavily on the public to help us with the mission.
I mean, you mentioned a specific dollar amount there, $25. So even gifts of that size can make an impact.
Absolutely. $25 buys box of Pampers for us, bottles for our newborns, all the things. It helps with the formula. And together, $25, if all the people on a full suburban block sent us $25, that would make a significant impact. Of course, the gifts range, and we call them gifts versus donations because they are being gifted from someone's heart. Our donations, we get the nicest notes. We get notes from school kids where someone has decided to do a campaign in their school for donations for us. So we had a 9-year-old not too long ago show up at our front door with a check of $1,000 where she had convinced all of the kids in her elementary school to donate to the Haven of Grace.
Oh, that's amazing. What a nice story for those kids. I'm curious. I spoke to someone recently that also had a role like yours at another local nonprofit, and they were describing how the nonprofit space can sometimes be very fragmented or siloed, or where each nonprofit kind of just wants to do their thing. Whereas now you're seeing more of collaboration across nonprofits. Are you seeing similar?
Absolutely. I think in today's climate, it's impossible to continue to operate without collaborations. There's always somebody who does a particular thing better than you do. And so together, we can experience some economies of scale when you look at it that way. So I think that we have some really fine partners that work with us to ensure that we continue to deliver everything that we promise to these ladies who come to us needing help.
You mentioned that your organization might be small. I'm just curious, how big of a staff do you have?
I have 24,
That's not it's not small. That's
24 employees. Some are part-time. We have an amazing clinical team here. Programming and clinical team are combined because we want our programming to be evidence-based. We want it to be trauma-informed, so it is. And so we all kind of work together. So it's all hands on deck. We're a 24/7 shelter. And our families are able to live with us in the maternity shelter. If you can imagine 8 or 10 pregnant women in a space, they're able to live with us for a year and a day after that child is born here. So somebody's here all the time. We're all hands on deck. We have to blur the lines. So it is not uncommon for our development director to work a shift if she has to, and I've worked many.
mentioning that these folks can live on site with you just makes me think of the recent tornado that hit St. Louis. And were you all affected by that?
We were luckily the tornado passed us by. So our physical plant Indeed was not impacted by that. However, we are in the community. And in that, we are beginning to see an increase in women being unhoused. And so prior to the tornado, we were turning away. We just didn't have the capacity to house them up to 40 women a month. And so we are seeing at least a 20% increase in that as a result. And we're in the summer. So people are still pitching tents in front of what used to be their home. And so they've been able to survive because people are still riding through the community and providing supplies, food provisions, and such. But it's going to get cold and they won't be able to do that. And so we are expecting to see a rise in police dropping women off who have been living in abandoned housing and getting more calls as a result of it. So the impact emotionally has been great because again, we are seeing more and more women that we can only assist marginally.
What an unbelievable situation from that tornado. Do you have any opportunity for some flex space to help you temporarily expand? Is there anything available like that in the community?
Fortunately, we don't. I am in conversations with a hotel group, hoping to be able to provide some temporary shelter this winter. However, it goes back to what I said I spend most of my days doing, and that's raising dollars and so that we can continue to help these women.
The theme of these discussions is really supposed to be around leadership. You're describing not only very amazing things and amazing work that's being done, but also very challenging emotional situations that you and your staff are involved in. How do you lead your team through these things?
I think I try to lead by example. Of course, empathy for what they may be going through is very key. And not everyone needs the same level of leadership. Some of my leaders are very mature, especially my clinical team, and they assist with the leadership perspective of getting things accomplished. And then others really need a lot more support. And so we do it with care. We do it with the vision still in front of us, but knowing that it takes a special type of person to be in a situation like this, to be on this team. It also takes a leader who has a bit of humility, one who knows that she or he doesn't know everything, a leader who listens. And so I try to lead from all of those perspectives in this space, which is a lot different from the corporate world that I was used to.
So then, where did you learn that strategy? If it is different from the corporate world to now, where did you learn this leadership style?
I mentioned that I come from a family of service. And so my dad was a natural people server, I called him, and a kind of a natural leader. And he cared about the community. And so grassroots, boots on the ground in my family on Sunday, we delivered meals to the people in our community. And we took a few minutes to sit and listen to them while we were doing that. And so if there was a major initiative on any ballot, we'd sit and we'd talk to them about those things. And so we learned in our household that was a form of being a servant leader. Many years later, of course, I went away to school and ended up working for AT&T and saw leadership from a corporate perspective. But all of the skills that I acquired in the many years that I was in that space were very much transferable to the work that I am doing today with an extra dose of humility.
Would you be comfortable sharing a specific example of a leadership incident that you've had to help employees through? It really highlights the what you're describing.
Absolutely, absolutely. We are, as I mentioned, that we are a maternity center. And of course, we are located in a very impoverished area of St. Louis. The women that we serve are operating or living off of income that is 87% below the poverty level. And so the challenges are many, but one such challenge was that one of the moms lost a child, lost a baby, and he was 7 months old. He wasn't here at the center when it happened. He was in foster care. And so the staff, as well as myself, we were just in the worst place imaginable, but needing to have a strength to support the remaining moms. And so because of my own experience in losing a child, 21-year-old child, I was able to use the experiences that I learned as a leader in the corporate world, the new experiences that I was developing as a nonprofit leader, and the humanity within myself to help my staff make it through that very tough time because we all still needed to support that woman. And that's the work that we do. We roll up our sleeves, we open our hearts, we open our mouths, we speak truth to power, we tell our stories, and we tell our stories authentically in this space. Not because we're just want some attention, but because it's important that people know what others are going through. And are we our sister's keepers? Yes, we are.
Patricia, you're describing some of the most challenging things any person could ever have to go through. A little bit taken aback by your leadership strength. I'm sitting here questioning, could I do what you just described? And I'm not getting a confident answer back in my own little head. So it really is remarkable.
The Haven of Grace is a faith-based organization, and I have a lot of faith. And so I think that helps in this work, or at least it does for me, is to be able to believe that we can do everything that we are challenged with doing, to move ahead, to see that light at the end of the tunnel. That's what helps. Knowing that we can do it. Fearless in the space. That's what gets it done.
I'm just a little bit naturally curious more on the fundraising side, just because that feels like something just I'm a little bit more familiar with. So the story that you would tell to potential supporters seems very obvious. But is there a specific little twist that you put on the story that really resonates with folks that you talk to?
I think people want to hear, of course, we tell our stories and we tell the good, the bad, and the ugly, of course. That's what you do in fundraising. But I think what people want to hear about are the impacts. They want to hear our success stories. And we have many because we actually are doing the work. And so we love to share our success stories. I said we have many, and I'd like to share one with you.
Yeah, please.
We had a woman come to us. She'd moved here from Uganda. She was a lawyer in her home country of Uganda, but somehow, some way, someone persuaded her that if she moved to the US, don't know how she ended up in St. Louis, but she was persuaded that if she moved to the US, she could become a lawyer here, and she was offered $5,000. So to Missouri she came, enrolled in St. Louis University in a program that they have there, and in a few months, $5,000 was gone. I learned later that $5,000 in her country was like $1,000,000. But here it only lasted a few months. She was duped by ill-intentioned landlord who took half of that money, and so she found herself couch surfing, ended up with a church, had a pain in her stomach, went to the hospital, and found out she was pregnant. Oh my goodness, there wasn't any help for her. Someone told her about the Haven of Grace. And so here we meet the immediate need. We want to make sure that they know that they're safe, first and foremost, that we are here to help. And so she was able to, luckily, we had a vacancy. She was able to join us. She carried her child to full term here, delivered, and went back to school. She is now living in our transitional housing, which is still on campus because she still needs some support. But she graduated in December with a degree from St. Louis University for foreign lawyers. So not only was she able to benefit from what we offer here in the community, once she gets back to the community at large, because she will be staying in our temporary housing, transitional housing for about 2 years, she will be able to come back and lend a helping hand by telling her story, by talking to the women who are here at the facility, and also by writing a check. So many stories we have that I'm always happy to share.
That's incredible. That's just an incredible story.
There are
I
many.
believe you.
Yeah.
I believe you.
Yeah. We have women from all walks of life. So, we've had the woman who has been chronically unhoused, and has moved through the various shelter systems and who has ended up here. And so and has been able to take advantage of the programming. And then we have women from West County, North County, South County who find their way here because they're not living in a home that's safe for them and their children. And they show up with the shoes, the clothes on their back, oftentimes without any shoes because they've had to flee. And so we're able to help. So our reach is broad, our mission is bold.
How do people that need your services generally find you?
Many call 211, which is the United Way line for help. We get referrals from hospitals, police officers, and then word of mouth. Other shelters.
So you were recently recognized in these amazing leadership principles that you've shared with us through a Titan 100 award. That's how you and I came across each other.
Yes.
So tell me about that award and what that meant to you.
That award really means a lot to somebody like me. It was an honor to be recognized amongst 100 titans in the St. Louis area who are doing amazing things in commerce and business and not-for-profit all across the state. It was very humbling, because not-for-profits, especially shelters, are considered, there's a caste system in not-for-profits, and so shelters are not at the top of that system, and so it was truly an honor to be recognized for that. But I like to say that the Haven of Grace will always be at the top of the bottom of that caste system.
And I'm sure that recognition was also very gratifying to your staff.
Oh my goodness, they were so excited. The recognition of being a Titan isn't mine. It belongs to the staff, the board, everyone here at the Haven of Grace. We're a team. I just happen to be the face and the voice and the person who accepted the award on that day.
Tell me about your little bit of something about your non-work life. You mentioned before we started recording that your husband has a jazz band, I think you said.
Oh my goodness. So music. So I have just a wonderful life because I am able to walk in two worlds. Of course, the not-for-profit space, which I said earlier is my calling. And then I love music. My dad loved music and he loved jazz. And so I happen to be married to one half of the legendary Bosman twins. who are jazz artists, nationally and internationally renowned for their jazz. And I am on the road at least one weekend a month, traveling the country to some of the most fabulous jazz venues in the US. And during the summers, we're going to do a little abroad traveling. And so it's just really cool. And I get to meet a lot of cool people who are stars on stage, but really cool people when you get to meet them. So I am incredibly lucky that I have the life that I have. And then we have kids. So we're a blended family of 7 kids, all grown. And then my husband and I counted last night that we have 17 grandchildren. So I said to him, I married you and you made me the old woman in the shoe. But just wonderful.
Yeah, how fun.
Yes.
What's a great jazz town other than St. Louis?
Chicago.
Oh, really? Yeah,
Chicago.
definitely.
Chicago. Absolutely Chicago. Kansas City,
How about internationally?
internationally, of Germany, Stuttgart.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
How fun.
Yeah.
I usually conclude these conversations with a thought or a question that's basically, if there's one thing that you really wanted folks to take away from everything that you discuss with us, what would that one thing be?
The one thing that I would want for everybody to take away is that the need for supporting women and children is great, and that the hand that rocks the cradle shapes the world. And if they would put just a few dollars behind those efforts within the community, not just for the Haven of Grace, but any non for profit that is doing that work, they would directly support the change that they want to see, in not only in this city, but in this country.
Yeah, Patricia, I believe you. And going right back to the beginning of one of the things you mentioned is how lucky are folks that find their calling and end up being in exactly the place they're supposed to be. And I think it's obvious you ended up there. And thank you for doing such amazing work in St. Louis.
Thank you. It is my pleasure.
It was a pleasure to meet you.